It is Thursday, November 6th, 2025, and that means it's day 6 of the 30-day map challenge. Today's topic, dimensions. Map beyond 2D. Visualize data using 3D models, extrusions, like building heights, depth, time as a dimension, or an unconventional multivariate approach. So similar to yesterday, I did not have a ton of time today. So this is a quick 3D visualization map and a short video. But what we're looking at are S&P 500 company headquarters symbolized in 3D based on their total assets in blue and their market capitalization in red. And the thing I'm trying to convey with this map is, even though we hear a lot about the Magnificent Seven tech companies being the largest companies in terms of their market capitalization, that's the total valuation, how much is the company worth, the total assets of the East Coast financial companies like JP Morgan Chase and Bank of America in particular are just as significant and are just as significant outliers for that statistic, total assets. So this video will go into very quickly how to create this 3D visualization, and I'll also provide some additional clarity in these particular areas, because a very significant weakness of this map is that the legend shows that $1 trillion number representing the big cone, but in fact there's multiple cones drawing on top of each other. So it's a little bit misleading. So let's dig into it. I'm going to open up ArcGIS Pro and we'll get started. This is a data set I've been working with quite a bit. I actually created it myself, point by point, taking the addresses from each company's 10K annual report to the SEC and geocoding the location and placing a point right on top of the building. So it's my own data set, but there's a lot of potential, especially for this type of financial analysis. So let me open up the correct project, which is the 30-day map challenge, and we'll get started building out this map. So my original idea was to dig into the spatial properties of data and spatial indices, but I realized both that would be too boring and that I didn't really know what I was talking about. So did a little learning this morning in terms of the different uses of the term dimension in the literature. All right, so I've added my HQ layer to my map here, and this is a list of the S&P 500 companies, and this is an exported data set actually from 2024, so it's not even entirely up to date, but I had the information I wanted, which were the total assets and the market cap for each company. And if we take a look at these two variables, let's just symbolize in 2D real quick. Let's take a look at the proportional symbols of market cap with a maximum size set, and we can see very obviously that the big market cap companies are here on the West Coast: Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia. But if we change our symbology to total assets, the big players on the East Coast pop up: JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, and we've actually got Wells Fargo out on the West Coast, significant bank with lots of assets. So my initial hypothesis is big valuation on the West Coast, but a big ownership stake of a lot of these tech companies and the related ecosystem is here on the East Coast. So something for me to dig into in the S&P 500 in general, But that's the basic idea. I wanted to quickly and easily communicate this distinction on a map. So I'll get started by adding a new global scene. And in ArcGIS world, scene means it's a 3D map. And when we're representing data on a large continental scale like this, we want to pick a global scene. All right, and let's go ahead and name this right away. So this works just like the maps do, except the data is 3D. Dimensions. And we'll add that layer, and we'll actually add it twice as a 3D layer because we're going to symbolize on both of those fields separately. So let's zoom in, get centered, okay, change our base map to a light gray canvas, take off our reference layer, and then symbolize our first group of headquarters, just like before, with a proportional symbol with a maximum size, but this time from the template, I'm going to select from our 3D features the cone. And if we move on the map here a little bit, we can see the cones appear on our map. And then if I go back and actually set this to the correct field that I want, which is market cap, we see that proportionally speaking, big West Coast giants are bigger than everyone else. So we'll do the same thing for our total assets. We'll change it to this blue color. We'll make it proportional. And pick it again from the gallery, sorry about that. And now we'll make it that blue color. And finally set it to the correct field to get that proportional symbology with the maximum size, just like that. Okay, perfect. So our range is the same here. Now, let's keep it the way it is, and I just want to zoom in and show you what you don't see on the static map, which is that if we zoom into areas like San Francisco, we can see that there's a couple big tech companies, NVIDIA, Apple, Alphabet, which is Google, and then we've also got Wells Fargo up in San Francisco, the big market cap company. And the way these proportional systems are laid out is if you don't have $1 trillion in market cap or total assets, you're just a tiny little dot. But there's Amazon in Seattle, Microsoft up in Redmond. And then we can see across the country, even giants like Berkshire don't really pop up. Then big Bank of America here in Charlotte. And finally, New York City. JP Morgan Chase is the big one, but we've also got Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, and Morgan Stanley, all with very large total asset counts. So let's jump into the layout and quickly create our layout and be on our way. So we'll do 11 by we'll actually do a letter 8.5 by 11. Sorry for exclaiming there. It's called dimensions. We'll fill up the whole page and do a quick activation to get our zoom extent exactly where we want it. That's the idea, is, everyone focuses on the West Coast, big tech, which is great, but the East Coast is just as significant economically in terms of ownership and control. Let's get our service layer credits out of here. And I think you want to keep these in for like production maps because it credits the source of the base map imagery. But for these map challenge maps, I'm just going for smoothness and minimal design. The legend for this one's super easy. Just prints out that proportional breakdown, and all we've got to do is hide that layer name. There we go. And we've got the basis for our map, and now we're ready to export it and get that out to Inkscape. So pretty straightforward. The idea is to represent using 3D some of these symbols. I think it does a decent job. Again, this is one to revisit and make a little more polished and informative. But that's going to do it for today. That's going to do it for day 6. The dimensions map. We'll mark this one as finished and published. And tomorrow we'll revisit our East Branch Brandywine Creek Trail for a look at accessibility. So thanks for your time, and I'll see you tomorrow.